welcome to Visibility Era, the podcast.
We are filming in person today, which is so much fun.
This is a new setting.
This is a new
I've
setting.
actually, this is my dream for this couch. Like
Really?
to do this exact thing, I swear.
Well, we're doing it today.
With these microphones, everyone. I hope you can hear us.
I feel like I'm sitting so high up because I'm
I hope you
like,
can hear us.
should I slouch a little?
Okay, there we go. Well, yeah, welcome. So it is a snowy New Jersey day. We're actually supposed to have our New Jersey Idea Lab networking event, but we had to cancel. Well, reschedule.
Yeah, we had to reschedule because it's snowing out. But now we get to do this.
Yeah, this is fun. I did write down some questions for you.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
You're gonna have to think of yours off the top of your head.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to riff. When did you do that?
When you were in the shower.
Wow. Okay, so today what we decided to do is we're going to just do like a get to know you. We're going to do 3 categories. We're going to do like wellness, business, just like lifestyle.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, that's perfect. I didn't even do mine in categories.
Okay.
But basically the idea was we love to watch content, videos, listen to podcasts where like you really get to know the people and get to know a little bit more about their life and just like how they move through their day, what they do, how they got started.
Yeah.
Just all the fun ones.
Yeah. I feel like there's certain podcasts that I listen to because I like the categories. So for example, I love the Skinny Confidential.
Yeah.
They interview like really cool brands that have done big things with like a wellness aspect, spirituality aspect, but I also live for the host to just like talk about their lives. To me, it's so interesting that they've created such a big company like Dear Media. They have the Skinny Confidential products, they have skincare products, they have like a huge company at this point. They're a husband and wife team, and it's like, how do they juggle all of that? Like, how do they do it? So I love to hear this, and every time I ask you questions, I learn something new about you.
So true, so true.
Like,
yeah, because we've known each other for probably, I don't know, 4 years.
4 years now,
something like that. But there's things that I always learn about you. Like I picked her up yesterday and we were just driving in the car. I'm like, wow, like didn't know that about you. Like this is fun. And I agree, like what you were saying with the Skinny Confidential and Dear Media. My first million podcast. Have to drop it. When they record, one of the favorite things that they ask, you know, the people who come on the show, and the show is all about, it's like 2 very broy dudes who've sold their company for millions of dollars, and they kind of just like shoot the shit, but they also interview founders of companies who've also, you know, like made a lot of money with what they're doing. And one of the questions that I love what they ask is like, how much does it cost for you to live? Like, just like, and not that we're going to answer that question today, but just the deeper look into their world and their life. And you know, this is why people love reality TV.
Yeah, we actually were talking about that yesterday, speaking of how much it costs to live.
Yeah,
we were just talking about like, you know, inflation, but like things are changing, and so how do you navigate like your personal life and finances, work finances? These are conversations that you need to have in order to have like a successful business. And like, I don't know, I'm a firm believer of wanting to, if you have goals in life, like just constantly coming back to, okay, how are we going to get there? Sometimes you need the steps, you need the strategy. So anyways.
All right, questions. Want me to start with one for you?
Yeah. Okay. Also, side note, Bridget made the most amazing lattes inspired by her Irish background.
We love some heavy cream over here. Yeah. We love the dairy, which, you know.
And cardamom. I've never put that in my coffee ever.
It's really good for the summer, especially like when pitta dosha is high, to try to like cool off. And like the coffee is a little bit more like pitta and like hot and heat. I don't know. I just like love thinking about the qualities of food and like balancing with the opposites.
I mean, this will be one of my questions. We'll like get deeper. Don't you worry.
This is what you need to know. Okay.
Oh, this is Finn, by the way. This is Bridget's dog.
He just drank the coffee before we started the show. Drank the coffee on the ground, and I'm still gonna drink it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. You know, this is one thing that I think that not as many people like know about you or know about your story. And my question is like, why is health and wellness important to you?
We've been talking about this a lot. Health and wellness is important to me. I feel like it's one of those things where it doesn't become important to you until you've like had some sort of experience that made it important. I
always say that with like alternative healing stuff. It's like most of the people don't wake up and be like, I'm going to do things that are completely against the norm and completely like hated by most of the world.
Right. And like, why would you change something that's working for you?
Yep.
So, when I was throughout my childhood, I've had like fainting spells. I've had a few seizures. I had a seizure when I was 10. And that kind of spiraled into just a lot of tests. Like I've done tons of tests when I was younger on like different types of brain scans and things like
Mhm.
that. I was never diagnosed with epilepsy,
Mhm.
but it's basically doctors just said this is common for some people that your body just like decides that it's had enough and it's like its own way of
Mhm.
resetting.
Mhm.
Um, and so I've had a history of that every few years. And as I got older, I realized that it really was connected to, I just have this like feeling that it's connected to my nervous system. Of course, it's part of your nervous system, but like regulating my nervous system is going to be way more important than it might be to others. I'm just really sensitive.
Mhm.
And when I started my PR career 10 years ago, I started in the music industry and it was just highly stressful for me. I was working really, really hard. I was making a super low salary.
Mm.
I am just like a little bit of an overachiever. And this is like me at every single job, but they always need to like hire multiple people in order to, when I leave,
Mhm.
like, I'm always an overachiever, which I think is like a blessing and a curse because it makes me like a great entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Like you have
So
that get shit done
yes.
mentality.
And I'm like, give me more. I want a
Yep.
challenge. But some
Yep.
people take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So
And
you
then it
have
can
to be
also lead to
careful.
like burnout, which like we both experienced and just being tired.
Exactly. Lots of burnout. So when I was working, it was an agency in New Jersey. I was going into the city a lot. I was representing clients. I was out until like 2, 3, 4 in the
Oh
morning.
my God. Is it because
At
it was music?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so you need to like go to the
Yeah.
concerts and like go to events with them.
Mhm.
And I was completely burnt out, but at this point I just was not connected to my body whatsoever and was experiencing nerve pain all
Mm.
over my body. I didn't even know it was nerve pain. I was like, why do my wrists hurt? Why do my
Mm.
hands hurt? If you like give me something, I would just drop it. Like that's how weak my hands were.
Wow.
And I went to tons of doctors. I went to like a hand specialist. They fitted me for a carpal tunnel. I don't have carpal tunnel. Like it
Oh my
was,
gosh.
yeah, it was just this like crazy. I went to chiropractors. I went to acupuncture. I was trying anything to get relief and eventually realized that it was my body's way of telling me that I'm burnt out. And once I
Mm.
decided to start looking at my stress and it made that connection, that's when all of the pain went away. And so it's your body making a chemical reaction. Like it's literally changing the
Yeah.
biology to make you feel pain. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of studies on this and a lot of
What's
people
the
that
book that you're
experience.
reading?
So it's Dr. John Sarno. Look him up. He healed Howard Stern and a bunch of other famous
No, I didn't
people.
realize that.
Yeah, he's since
Hmm.
passed. He was like an old
Okay.
man when he got
Okay. Love
famous.
that. Love
Yeah,
that.
which is nice because he has his books on audio, so you can like
Yeah.
listen to his beautiful old man voice.
Oh
But he has two books. He has Healing Back Pain and he has the Mind Body Prescription, I
no.
believe,
Mm.
is the name of them. But it really like tells you the science behind why people experience chronic pain.
Wow.
Yeah. And so for me, that kind of made me dive into lifestyle changes and wellness. And then it just went into all different areas because they all these different modalities, they have it's the same thing from a different lens.
Yeah.
So like you talking about Ayurveda with me, I'm like, wow, this makes
Mhm.
so much
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
And she just gave me like a tincture for stress. If you want to talk about it.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited about that. Well, I've been doing the herbalism class for a couple, almost 6, 7 months. I don't know. But we're talking all about how to use herbs and plants and tinctures and tonics and like all these different ways to just like supplement the body and from a natural, way and perspective, which I think are really important in today's day and age. And there's tincture called, and a tincture is anything that is, it's like the plant that is not diluted, but it's the plant compound that's extracted through a certain type of solvent. So a certain type of liquid, like alcohol is a common tincture, which is like really good at extracting plant material. Then there's glycerin, which is what you have, which is like that sweeter, it's more palatable, like it just tastes really good. Um, and then
I'm like, I'll
there's
take
like
this.
vinegar. Yeah, like it just tastes good. There's vinegar. And a couple of other ways that you can like pull the material, but that one specifically for the nervous system. And I started taking it too because like I dealt with that season of just like burnout and overwhelm and like feeling it in my body. I remember like some nights I couldn't even fall asleep because my body was just like it was almost in pain from like this intensity of like me just like
Like
that kind of,
vibrating
yeah, like
almost?
yes,
I know
yes,
what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
fun.
It's not fun.
Not fun. And it's so beautiful that you could have taken, I know you don't talk about this story a lot, that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because I was like, this will really help people.
Yeah.
But you kind of naturally like found yourself working with those clients who just have a little bit more of that like wellness, health, lifestyle background. And I feel like it's probably because you like get it
Yeah.
at that visceral level, being able to like write the pitches and like understand them and like really realize the vision and mission behind that company.
Yeah, yeah, that's what that's what's been reflected to me a lot. And for you too,
Mhm,
with our
mhm,
clients at Visibility on
mhm.
Purpose, it's like we understand that language.
Yep.
And so if there is a health practitioner that might think in a more holistic way or have a more holistic approach, like we get it
Yeah.
and we can help you articulate that in
Mm,
our pitches, which I think
mhm.
is really special and cool. Not everybody can understand that.
Yeah.
It's not the norm. And also industry disruptors are great for press.
Mm, so true. And like just like food, health is a language that brings everyone together, you know?
True.
Truly, like so many people, when you deal with a health issue, you realize that health is like your wealth.
Yep.
You know, you realize that that's actually one of the most important things
Health
that
is
matter.
wealth.
It is wealth. It's one of the most important things that you have. You know, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health or your vitality, like it's really hard to move through the day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That was a
Gosh.
good one. Good answer.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So I love that you do so many different things. I think that this is so incredible, and I feel like not a lot of people know what you're up to. So outside of Visibility on Purpose,
Mm.
Bridget, what are you up to lately? And like you can talk about work or even
Mhm.
lifestyle.
I feel like this is something that I sometimes struggle with the fact that I do so many different things because it's kind of like a two-sided coin, right? Through one lens, it could mean me being spread too thin, which I've definitely had that experience of feeling, and I'll go through like what I've been doing. But the other side of that is like I've had so many different experiences, like a lot of cross-functional experience, working with people, working with different populations, working with business owners, in the health and wellness space. Like all of these different things have allowed me to glean a lot of insights. And as a
Yeah.
speaker, I think it's really, really helpful. So yeah, beyond visibility and purpose. Well, I've been teaching yoga since 2016 now, which like I don't really talk about that much anymore, but it's like very much as a part of like who I am and like my life. And I work for a nonprofit where we do like breath work and meditation for veterans, which is great. I love like the special populations where kind of society casts them out as outcasts.
Mm.
I just like love those people because I'm like, I get you. And then I've been working at a addiction outpatient recovery center since 2017. So like pretty much the entire time I've been teaching yoga. It's one of the first places I taught at. And it taught me so much because these people don't, you know, they're in recovery. Some of them might be open to yoga, but many of them aren't.
Yeah.
And it's mandatory for them to come to these classes.
Oh.
So they're like, I've learned a lot of patience. I learned a lot of like being able to pivot. Like I don't plan my classes because it's pretty much impossible. I have different people there at different times because they're going through their own treatment and they might, you know, start getting a job and they might not be able to come to those classes anymore. So anyway, like it's just taught me, it's been very humbling. Um, but it's also taught me like how to command a room and like how to not deserve attention, but to like be respected because I think people would struggle in that space if they let people walk all over them. So like taught me a lot how to be a better speaker because I was like, no, I need to like stand my ground and I can still be like this nice yoga teacher, but like I kind of mean business. I don't know. And people are like, what? Like when they see me get upset at the class, if people are being rude, I'm like, I'm not here to be walked over. Like, so it's, you know, giving me a backbone, which I think is helpful. So that's like the yoga world and the yoga life. And within that, I still teach workshops related to health and wellness from time to time. And I'm currently doing a year-long herbalism program to just like deepen my knowledge just for like me. And we've been talking about like
Yeah.
just doing stuff for us because we are such business-minded humans that it's easy to like put all of our energy and focus and even like our money into growing our business
Yeah.
and doing things to like grow, you know, our acumen and like, yeah, everything related to business or work. So that's a big part of that. And then, yeah, beyond visibility and purpose, I feel like work wise, it's changed and transitioned so much over the years. Like I went from public speaking coaching and then it moved into publishing, and then it was super burnt out and moved into more like strategy and back end for different types of businesses. Um, and just most recently moved into me working with my dad and my sister and starting this financial literacy company and beginning to reach out to schools and credit unions to try to basically sell them our online curriculum. So I'm just like learning a lot. It's been, if I reflect on 2023, it was like a year of a lot of learning. A lot, and not, it was frustrating because I felt like, why isn't everything like working yet?
Yeah.
You know, because this is our first year of our business and we had many financial goals and we didn't hit the numbers that we necessarily wanted to hit, but like it was perfect because it was our first year of business at the same
We
time.
also hit very good numbers.
Absolutely.
It's so
Absolutely.
funny because like I feel like sometimes when you make goals or you like say an affirmation out loud of like, I am this, or I want to make this or do this or whatever, you need that buffer year of transition. Like
Yeah.
everything in your life is not supporting what you want.
Yep.
And so that year of transition has set you up. So like this year is the, you know what I mean?
1000%.
Yeah.
I feel like that was last year. It was like kind of shedding the fat, having to have some experiences that like spread me too thin to then realize I need to like refine and refocus. And like for me, 2024 is like a year of just doing the things that like I actually want to do.
Yeah.
And saying no to, you know, clients and opportunities that they might sound good, but it's actually pulling me away from my goal of focus. So that's everything I do beyond visibility and purpose.
It's so cool. I think what is really special about you is I think a lot of people get so laser focused and they're like, I can only do this, and this is the only way I can like make a living for myself and like make money. And you have really showed me perspective on like following your bliss or following your interests and being able to just like make a salary for yourself. Like you pivoted so many times and like so many times, but I mean, they're all connected. It's like this one leads to this, which leads to this. It's like when you see the path, you're like, oh, okay, it perfectly makes sense. And it's always like in the same realms.
Totally. And I forgot like being someone who like 2024, I also want to speak more. And so all of these like trial and error, you know, if anyone's into human design, I'm a 3-5 and I really, really do resonate with like trying things out and like taking what I learned from that experience. I don't see it as failure. It's like literally information. And then it informs my like next decisions. Like when I'm speaking, I feel like it's really valuable to actually have had all these like really weird and somewhat unique life experiences and work experiences and career stuff because I feel like I can relate to a broader population of people.
Yeah.
You know, and I love telling the stories of like where I work and where I teach yoga and like just the people that I'm around and like athlete mentality, you know, all of that. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, somebody was talking about something the other day related to endurance. Okay. So, if you don't know, Bridget and I are both from New Jersey. I moved to Florida a year and a half ago, and for whatever reason, I don't watch football. Like I do not watch football. I was emotionally invested in the Dolphins playing Kansas City for the playoffs.
Well, I can't believe it was that cold.
It said on the TV, feels like -24. I was like, these baby Miami boys, how are they gonna do this? Like, this is not fair. Like, they're not gonna win, and they didn't win. Sorry, guys. It's okay. Better luck next time. They did a great job this season, apparently. I'm literally not a sports fan. I'm like, my boys did great. But but I was thinking about me and my brother-in-law get into like a conversation about mental endurance. And I was thinking of you and all of your talks. I've learned so much about this topic because you speak on it a lot. Like feeling comfortable versus uncomfortable and like pushing yourself. You guys did like the 100-day ice bath challenge or whatever, cold plunge, ice bath, whatever. Close enough. You guys were literally breaking ice and like getting in. If you go on social media, it's there.
Go check it out, Ordinary to Ultra. I mean, it is interesting. I think the physical stuff really translates beautifully to entrepreneurship.
It does.
You know, because entrepreneurship is such a roller coaster. Like, how many moments have you been like, what am I doing? Like, should I carry on? Or like throw in the towel and like get a job?
Like, I had that last year.
Yeah.
I had that over the summer.
Yeah.
It happens once a quarter.
No, literally. And sometimes I actually notice that around my period, like luteal phase is when I tend to have some of those thoughts come up way more because it's like I start to doubt, I start to like I am more hormonal, I'm feeling things like more deeply, I'm more sensitive. So I think also like being aware of your menstrual cycle if you're a woman listening, like know that shit's coming because so you can ride that wave. But the bigger thing is that when you are an entrepreneur, it is more of a life of risk. Like it's just a path of more risk, but more
Yeah.
reward. Absolutely. Like the
Yeah.
benefits are higher, but the lows can be lower and the highs can be higher.
Yeah. And like being comfortable in the uncomfortable,
Yeah.
like I've noticed that I get better. We talk about this all the
Yeah.
time, but like the comeback what is it called?
I think
Bounce
it's like,
back?
yeah, the comeback rate.
The comeback
Yeah.
rate. Yeah. So every time you are in that fear-based state and you're like thrown off, how long does it take you to actually bounce back and be in a state of neutrality
Yeah.
and trust? And really what it comes down to is like trust in yourself.
Mm.
Like recently I've been diving into the Gene Keys, a friend of mine,
Yeah,
Jess
you need to tell
Babico.
everyone about that because I think it's super interesting.
It's so cool. So my friend Jess Babico, shout out.
Shout out.
She is a Gene Keys guide, and
Mhm.
for fun, she's been putting on like Gene Keys study groups. So it's fun because you're just like looking at your own chart, and we're going through the different spheres in your profile and just analyzing them. And what I like about this self-discovery modality is it's not like this is who you are and this is how you are. It's more about how you interpret each key, and it's key, it's like unlocking your DNA, but it's
Mm.
keys of really like understanding what resonates for you and how to find the gift in all of our shadows. So
Mm.
what I find really interesting is one of my biggest things to work on in this lifetime is patience. And I am such an impatient person,
Mhm.
not in a sense of like rudeness, it's more in a sense for me, it shows up in, just getting further in life, like, I'm a very
I think it's because you have that get
driven.
shit done and like
Yeah.
motivated. Yeah.
Yeah, so driven, and I get frustrated when I'm, like, not in a place that I wanna be, and so my autopilot is work harder, work more, but really what I've learned is to slow down and actually working. It's so funny because it's like everything that you're supposed to be doing, it's like the opposite.
Yeah.
So instead of working harder and doing more output, what I've noticed is slowing down and actually being intentional,
Mhm.
slowing down and creating systems,
Mhm.
slowing down and doing things um, from a place of higher perspective as opposed to fear.
Yeah.
So this like idea and this concept of like really sitting with myself, and what really resonated with me when I was reading the book is patience is kindness. And I was thinking about like
Mm.
where have I not been kind to myself, and how that really affects like our business, my
Mhm.
business, and just like, yeah, so anyways, I'm like going down a spiral right now, but what I'm getting at is really seeing the higher perspective of where we're going and not trying to rush to the finish line,
Yeah.
and having that state of neutrality and trust in yourself and state of endurance, because the impatience piece is really being fueled by fear.
Yeah, and it's been interesting kind of connecting with some business owners that have been in business for a really long time. They haven't used social media to grow their companies. They have a very different outlook on like fast. I feel like social media has given
Yeah.
everyone this like impression of overnight success, likes, follows, quickness, virality, and all of that. There's like an intensity to that, but I feel like it's like the turtle and the hare kind of story. I think I'm going into my turtle phase. Like, let me like what is it? Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also a good reminder for our first year of business. Like many first year of business do not see a profit. Like we were in the green, very in the
No.
green. So it's something to be excited about. But when you see people saying, make your first 20K months, also big businesses don't talk about months like that.
They don't talk about it. Is only in like this weird online entrepreneurial space,
Yep.
specifically the coaching industry, a lot of
Yep.
wellness like falls into this
Yep.
category. And when we get outside of our bubble and see like a brick and mortar, let's just like talk about this for a sec.
Yep.
They need to buy an office space or
Yep.
like pay rent. Then they need to buy product.
Product.
And restaurants, don't even get me started on that. That's like what, 3 years until you see a
Mhm.
profit, but they
Mhm.
understand the long term,
Long game.
the long game.
Yeah.
And this perspective has also shifted the way that we even talk about visibility on purpose and our results, because yes, you're going to get results. They're going to come to you quickly if you do the work, if you take our course. We have templates, we make it so simple and easy. But the idea of like getting famous overnight,
Right.
that like hunger is not going to be the reality. That's not how it typically works. Like it happens, you see it every once in a while, but really it's about going into legacy building mode. It's about seeing the longevity of your brand and like creating the brand awareness. And I was thinking about this last night in my mind, like how beautiful is it that throughout the journey of press, you get to meet new people
Yeah.
and you get to meet high profile networks and you get to like nurture relationships with your audience members and you're meeting new audience members like without actually meeting them. They're meeting you
Yeah.
every time you get a new press
It's like a
placement.
beautiful ripple effect, but I think it's almost been it's been interesting to transition out of the like selling something where it's like hot and flashy.
Yeah.
Like we're selling something that is it takes time. It takes effort.
Yeah.
You know, you have to actually show up for it. You have to actually write those pitches. You actually have to do the research on the contacts. You have to, send your follow-ups. You have to, make sure that you're always thinking about new ways that you can introduce your brand or your big idea or
Mhm.
like what you're doing or your product. And I think we're in this like mindset shift of how we're trying to show up and how we want to interact with like our community. It's like we don't want to talk
Mhm.
about the hot wins, just the overnight success. It's like no, these people were sending pitches over and over. Like think about, one of our clients who didn't see that win until like 2 months after
Yeah.
she'd been sending that, but like that's not sexy.
Yeah.
And we want to kind of like remind people that no, 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 that's probably more sexy because you're
Yeah.
going to keep that going.
You're gonna keep it going. You're gonna create relationships. So they
Yeah.
want to come back to you and
Right.
cover you even more. And the results, like they speak for themselves. We have a huge list of results
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
from our client wins, which is
Take
really
this off because
fun.
I'm dying.
Yes,
I don't
take
know
it
what's
off.
going on. Do you see my face? Everyone, check it out.
Which is really, really cool. But it does, like, it takes time. And I think a lot of this is a perspective shift too for time in general. Like, a lot of us think that we need to constantly be doing the social media stuff. And like, we're spending so much time on social media when social media is in it for their business. So they want you to stay on the apps, they don't want you to be leaving the apps. So when it comes to this time and perspective shift when you're looking at like media relationships like long term, that is actually going to give you so much more of a it's going to be bountiful fruit in
Yes.
the long run. So it's a shift in perspective. And I think what's really interesting about even just the wellness stuff we've been
Mhm.
talking about
Mhm.
is everything is a shift in perspective and for a big greater benefit, but it's something that we're not typically taught.
Absolutely. And I'm preparing this talk for Friday, and like one of my main big points is it's on the whole idea is what actually creates long lasting, consistent change. And one of my points is they're in it for the long game and like they understand the long game. And it's like anyone who wants to make a change in their life, we'll give like weight loss as an example.
Mhm.
Ozempic, quick pick, weight
Oh,
loss
Ozempic. Oh
pills,
my
like,
God.
these get abs in a day. Like that's a freaking lie. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not in this to starve ourselves to get those abs, right? So anyone who understands like the true weight loss journey
Mhm.
understands that they're not going to see those results tomorrow.
Yeah.
Likely not the next day. Likely not the next day or the next day. But once they're in it and they just keep going and they just like stay consistent and dedicated to like their why and why they want themselves to change in the first place and just showing up for the little wins, like those
Yeah.
micro wins, aka like going for a walk every day. Like it's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be big or in your
No.
face. It's going to be small little things that you do to be the most consistent one, in the room. And I know like we talked about consistency yesterday. It's like
Yeah.
you're really consistent though. I think your energy like goes up
Mhm.
and down with like what you want to like be focusing on, but
Mhm.
you're still one of the most consistent people because you're always still dedicated to like moving something forward for the long game.
Yeah.
I lost my original thought, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
Okay, so I have like a very cheesy but great story
Okay.
about enjoying the just like slowing down and enjoying the journey
Mm,
and like how things can like delight you basically.
mm.
Okay, so I was talking
Ooh,
about this
delight. I love that
delight.
word.
Yeah.
Delight.
Give me such a delight.
Such
So
delight.
last night we were just talking about the gene keys at dinner and like whatever. So another one of my keys, I'm really into this right now, is adventure and it's connected
Mm,
to patience.
mm,
And so like what is the adventure in being patient?
mhm.
And when I was living in New Jersey, I lived on the beach. I did this walk like every single day and I
Oh, I
was like
love that story.
yeah, I was like enjoying it at first, and then it turned into a routine and something to just get done. And like everything in my life, I'm like, all right, I wake up and I'm like, I have the checklist, like I have to get things done, whatever. And one day I was like, I'm gonna allow myself to slow down today and like enjoy my walk today. And it was a
Mm,
perspective shift.
mm.
And so I'm taking my normal lap, and there was this one beautiful house, there's a giant fig tree in the front, and I always admire it when I walk by and I'm like, ah, this looks like gorgeous. And it was perfectly in season.
I
And
didn't
I'm
know
walking
figs
by.
grow in New Jersey.
Oh yeah. I mean, you have to like
Well,
wrap it up. They put it in
yeah.
like burlap and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah. We have one
that's a
in
little
the
coat.
downstairs kitchen, but it doesn't have any fruit.
Really?
Yeah, maybe
Try
I
to
should put it outside.
put it outside. Not now, like in the
Yeah,
summer.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
But and so I'm walking by, I see the man that he's like trimming his bush or whatever, the owner,
Mhm.
and I decided to be like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that like I'm always admiring your fig tree. It looks so beautiful and you're doing such a good job, like
Mhm.
whatever." And he goes, "Wow, thank you. Like this just made my day. You know what? Why don't you take a lap around the block? I'm gonna get a strawberry container, fill it up with figs, and just leave it on the front porch. Like just come back and just give me like a loop." And which makes sense because he probably didn't want me like staring at him while he's like cutting and pulling
Immediately.
out things. I'm like, I can't wait. Water mouth is salivating. So I'm like, okay, like really? He's like, yeah, come back to my front porch. So I take a loop. I come back, it's there. It's literally overflowing. You can't even
Mm.
close the container with figs.
Mm.
So I'm like,
Were they
wow,
green or like the purpley reddish?
purpley reddish.
Mm.
So I have my container. I'm like smiling, walking home, and then there's a woman on her front porch, like 3 blocks down, and
Mhm.
she goes, "Oh wow, look at this." Zoom. I don't know how I did that. My Italian
Make it
hands.
rain. What?
Weird. So, anyways, she's sitting on the front porch and she goes, "Wow, where did you get those figs from? Those look
Mhm.
beautiful. My father is from Italy and he loves his fig tree and he can't make like his fig tree is like not doing well.
Mm.
Can you tell me like where the house is so I can go talk to them? Also, I bought these beautiful kiwis. Can I trade you some figs for kiwis?" And I was
It's like
like,
a traditional
"No."
trade and like barter. Like
And I'm like, "No, no, don't worry about it." And she goes, "Oh, please, like, I insist." So I'm like, "Okay." She takes some figs. I'm coming home with figs and kiwis. Also, she introduced me to her son, which I think was like, okay. Um,
she's like, this girl's cute. My boy's single.
she's like, "Oh, here's my son." I'm like, "Okay, bye."
You're like, he's like 22, married or single. Like she gives you like the
He
play by
came out and
play.
was like, "Mom."
Oh.
So I'm walking home and I just like think it's so funny that I allowed myself to slow down and like look at this legit bountiful fruit that I got to experience
Mhm.
from just really like enjoying the present
That's
moment.
such a good metaphor because it's like that tree was always there on those walks
Yeah.
and you just didn't see it.
And what's funny is like any other day, if he was outside, in my mind, I would have been like, oh, cute. I wouldn't have spoken to
Hmm.
him,
Hmm.
but I was just in a different mindset that day.
Yeah, I love that.
What a journey.
The journey. Okay, another question for you. I didn't write this one down, but I think this is always interesting because I kind of shared about like what I experienced over the last year and like what that taught me. So, what is something that either was a challenge last year, or, like one of your biggest
Mm,
learning lessons, and how are you gonna impart that into your 2024?
yeah. Um, One of my biggest lessons this past year. Okay, so this is like kind of personal with clients, but I'm just gonna be real with you guys. There are with press comes a lot of people that want fame
Mm,
and a lot of people that think that they're the best. And, I love that confidence. And I think it's really important when you are building a brand,
because you
specifically a
kind of
personal
need
brand.
that, have a little bit of that, like I can do this, like a
Yeah,
little bit of that is necessary.
right, right. But with that sometimes comes a little bit of like the diva clients.
Hmm.
And it was a big lesson to learn that even though I thought that their brand was like beautiful from the outside and they seemed cool, like not everybody is the same when they work with a service provider than what they're putting on the internet. And so, and they don't treat everybody the same way. And so this
Mm,
is just like coming from an entrepreneurial space of being more selective with the clients that I bring on.
right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
just being
And like
real
boundaries and
and boundaries. Yeah. And I was definitely enabling it too because I am not a confrontational person.
mm,
And I also like really want my clients to do well. And I kind of let them like walk all over me a little bit.
yeah.
And so it was a lot of lessons in like my personal self-worth
Hmm.
and even just realization of
Hmm.
like, oh, I can be selective with clients if I want to. I don't
Right.
have to take on everybody who knocks on my door.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a really good lesson. Going into 2024, like, what are you not available for? Like, what types of clients are you like, okay, this is not what I wanna, this is a no.
I think it's funny because I think it's like the same with VOP.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of that, like, who do we want to serve and who are we just not a good fit for? Because obviously, like,
Yeah.
our business also, we want the best for our clients because those types of results are gonna, yeah, bring more people
Yeah.
into our world and help them learn more about media exposure and pitching all these things. So definitely in VOP too.
Yeah, I think that what I'm available for in terms of clients, like clients that understand the long-term strategy,
Yeah.
understand that PR is not a sales strategy, but it's a brand awareness strategy, a business growth strategy. And sales always come. They come with time, they come with brand awareness, they come with relationship building, they come with the opportunities that come from all
Right.
of this media exposure. But it's a long-term game, and if I were to put it under a block, it would be like business growth strategy,
Yeah.
not sales,
Right.
not marketing. It's pieces of it.
It's like cousins. Like you can you can see how it's related.
Yeah, they're all besties.
Yeah.
They're all related.
Yeah.
If we're looking at a family tree, we're like, all right, obviously like PR,
Yeah.
marketing, sales, like business plans and strategies, like we're all best friends, but we're all really different. And so just allowing it to be a different strategy and educating the
Yeah.
clients on this. I think a lot of this is just by the way that we articulate what the business is and what the expectations are, that's how the right clients just will naturally
Yeah.
come to us.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then not available for in 2024. I've just been coming back to a lot of like how I've been having a huge perspective shift and awareness around like maybe how I can grow everything is just by working on me instead of working on the external, which has been a quite a few years of working on the external. So I'm shifting this year and we'll see how it goes.
It's such a delicate dance because I feel like I go through like waves and seasons.
I mean, me too. A lot of
And
like, we're
yeah,
doing this, now we're doing this.
yeah. And it's like I kind of want to be in that place where they both coexist,
Yeah.
right? Where there's like active working, you know, on the business, thinking strategically, making decisions that will ultimately grow things, like building relationships that will grow things that are very like active, and action oriented. And then also, you know, I had this talk with my therapist and she was like, Bridget, do you think like any of this could be just like how your energy is impacting like your world, like how you see things? And I'm like, yeah, like absolutely. And that's actually one of the reasons I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get back to doing my like daily like prosperity meditation and just like having that thing.
Okay, can you talk about what that looks like?
Sure.
Okay.
Um, so I studied and trained in vinyasa yoga. Like you've probably been to like a vinyasa yoga class, right?
Yes, but I always, it's so funny, like on the schedules, I see yoga and I just book it. Like I never know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, there's so many different types now.
Yep. And then I'm
Yeah.
like the other day I went to like yin yoga and I was like, I don't really know what this means. And then we were just like basically napping in different positions.
Oh, I
And I was
really love
like,
yin.
this
Yin is really
amazing.
good if you have if you're like a really intense athlete, like yin
Yeah.
is a really good complement to that. But yin also if you have nervous
Mhm.
system challenges, it's like perfect
Hey.
for you. Yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I studied yin yoga, I studied restorative yoga, which is very similar. Like you literally just like lay. You just lay for like 10 to 15 minutes in each pose.
So
And you're usually supported with like bolsters and blankets and it's like very, very cozy. So I studied vinyasa yoga, but very like early on in my yoga just experience and practice, I found Kundalini yoga through Gabby Bernstein. Her book, The Universe Has Your Back, was like one of my first like open doors to Kundalini. And Kundalini is like, I always tell people to think of it as like, think of everything you know about yoga, you know, girls in tight pants, like doing these like crazy pretzel moves. In the Lululemon, I was like, just throw that out the window and like you have Kundalini. It's the weird of the weird. There's movement, there's chanting, there's heavy breath work, there's what else, mantra, I kind of already said that, meditation, there's just like mudras, so using like hand gestures to focus and concentrate your energy.
I like the mudras.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
It's really helpful. And I just like really fell in love with the whole weirdness of it and feeling like, I don't know, really feeling different after I practiced it. It wasn't like a traditional yoga class. So they have kriyas, which are like sets of different movement, meditation, breath work, and it's very like it's like a recipe.
Yeah.
So like just like you go to bake a cake, it's like there's a recipe for prosperity. There's a recipe for, your immune system. Like there's all these different things for these different things. Kundalini can be seen as a little bit like dogmatic, and some people think it's like quite cultish, when you see everyone wearing white, and like some people wrap their heads in
I never
turbans.
asked why that was.
The white?
Yeah.
The white is like to kind of expand the aura, and like white is a color of purity. Like when you see people dressed in white, you see like it's just a different energy. It has to do with like the color scale too.
Cool.
Yeah. So like sometimes I just like dressing in white.
Yeah.
Like you're in white right now.
You know what's funny? I feel like I love neutral colors, and I think it's because I'm always craving like calm, which is funny.
That is interesting.
Yeah, like I don't want to attract like loud because I feel like my nervous system is already like more on this one.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so I'm always drawn to like more cooling colors.
Yeah, yeah, even like our brand stuff, like especially in the beginning, black and white, really gray,
Black, white, beige,
yeah. A little bit of beige in there. Yeah, so some people wear white, but like I don't know, you don't have to. I'm kind of like, just like I said, I like imperfect Ayurveda. I kind of like rebel everything. Like I kind of just like when someone tells me to go right, I kind of like step right, but like half step left. So you're supposed to like tune in when you practice Kundalini yoga with certain mantras, like you do it every single time. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. So just like a little bit of flexibility, I think is important in a practice like that. But the Prosperity Kriya, it is like 5 different components where you are using certain mantras and certain like mudras and hand gestures. It's just like very powerful. I did it for 120 days once, like straight.
I should do it. I should try it out.
It is great. You can just go on. It's called the Subak Kriya.
I like that it also gets you in your body.
Absolutely.
Like that's okay. So sometimes even with like yoga, I'm a little in my head and I have to like constantly remind myself. But when you like incorporate the hand gestures, or like I told you, I loved the like breathing through the nose.
Nostril, yeah.
It afterwards,
Yeah.
I am like, number one, I was like, okay, my sinuses feel balanced. Like what? And then also I felt so in my body. And it just blew my mind.
That's so interesting. I feel like Kundalini is just like quicker, like to get through, to get through the mind and just like back, really into the body. I think it has to do with the, combination of
just like movement
of everything. Yeah. They're very like prescriptive movements where like vinyasa, you might have a teacher who's just kind of like taking you through this like beautiful sequence of flowy movements and doing some breath, and you'll leave there feeling like you had a really nice workout, maybe like some mental shifts as well. The Kundalini is just like quick, and it kind of goes to like one of my main things I love to talk about, which is like mental endurance and just kind of like staying with it, because some things in Kundalini yoga, like you'll hold your arms up for extended periods of time.
Yeah, like I feel like all the Kundalini movements are, I've only been to one Kundalini class, but I remember being like, whoa, like this was not what I expected.
Yeah, it's like weird.
Yeah, because when you think of yoga, you think of like the typical movements and like even like yin versus vinyasa.
Yeah.
The faster one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fiesta.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you're still doing the same movements where Kundalini, you're doing very what I would consider like uncomfortable or awkward. And so you have no choice but to be in your body because you're like, I don't do this normally.
Yeah.
And like one of them is like, I remember one I was I was like trying not to laugh, which is immature. It's like, what are we doing? We were going standing position and then down in like a frog.
Oh yeah, frog squats.
And you're just doing it fast
so
and
good.
fast. And I was like, ah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah. And it like forces you
brings you right in.
So Bridget, what does your morning routine or unroutine routine look like for you? I know you wake up way earlier than me.
Did you like waking up? But today was a little like late. I needed to sleep.
Slept in 6:30.
6:15, 6:30, everyone.
6:15.
Write it down. Don't forget. So yeah, we're like just on an earlier schedule in this house. I like to go to bed when my husband goes to bed, and he's normally in bed by like 8:30, 9. Both of us.
That's like a good life.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, we don't have kids yet, so like this will likely change at some point in our life. But right now, we go to bed. I wake up in the morning, I do my tongue scraping. So I have
Mhm.
like a tongue scraper. I used to do a lot of oil pulling, which I think I might get more into. We both had like teeth issues, so like oral
Mhm.
health just feels like really important these days.
Really important.
Really, really
I was
important.
oil pulling for a little bit. I ask you all of my like wellness
Hmm.
questions. I know you're gonna know about it. So I'm like, hey, do you do this?
I love that you ask. And as I said to you earlier, like I don't because this has just been like part of my life for many, many years. Like prior even to like me doing my yoga teacher training, I just like don't think anything of it. I'm like, yeah, everyone's tongue scraping with a copper like scraper, right?
Like literally
But,
nobody.
like no one. No one. Mine's actually stainless steel. If you wanted to know, purchase from Amazon costs about $6. The idea is like when you sleep at night, toxins are like pooling to try to like release, aka
Yeah.
why we like go to the bathroom and stuff. And the tongue is one of those areas where you can scrape the ama or toxins off.
Wow.
And it also stimulates digestion because just like points on the ear are connected to the body, point to the tongue, connected to
Mhm.
the body. So, okay, I do some tongue scraping. I pet the dog. Like, I just
A
pet
morning
this
routine.
dog.
He's like out over in the corner.
He's
He was
relaxing.
with us for a little
I
while.
know. He's relaxing. And I pet the dog. I'll have my water. I always have like water before I have the coffee and make my coffee. Make it normally like that.
I love
Some
this.
fun
This is
stuff.
delightful.
Yeah, I journal. Just like anything I'm thinking about. If I have like something I'm speaking about, I'll write it all down and
That's a beautiful journal.
right?
I feel like
About it.
a pretty journal
Makes
just
all the difference.
like
With a nice pen. It's about the nice pens, everyone.
do you ever
Need the
like
nice pens.
you like get a nice pen just soft when you write and you're
It's
like,
that's like this one.
I want to write for the rest of my
Right?
life.
I'm a writer. I'm a writer. So I do that and then I'll usually go for a walk. But sometimes I grab my laptop because I'm like really creative and like some of these like I don't know, just like little things right in the morning. Sometimes I'll write like my posts in the morning. That's why they're posted at like 4 a.m.
I always joke around and I'm like, so sometimes I feel like mine are like that too. It's either
Mhm.
like 8
Yeah.
a.m. or it's like 11 p.m. And I'm
Mhm.
like, listen, like I'm either writing for, the West Coasters or I'm
Yeah.
writing for the Australians or like
It's
whatever.
fine. Yeah, we're worldly here.
Yeah,
Like
we're worldly.
we reach the globe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go for a walk or do some stuff on my computer and then I'll usually like go to the gym. But I go to the gym like 5 days a week and I
That's
take
awesome.
off the rest and I'll like do my yoga still. And then sometimes I'll like shower in the morning to like feel like awake and then I like get started. Just like but I like to end my day by like 3, which is like early. So like I'm starting early so I can kind of end earlier.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me.
It's shifted. I think I should try this.
Yeah,
I'm like, don't be surprised if I'm like, it's 4:30 and I'm like, good morning.
yeah, yeah. But you're like, I think it is interesting how you're not meant to have a routine. Like what your Gene Keys is saying. I think it is.
My jinkies.
And
Everyone's just
you've
gonna
been
look up my profile. Should I
you
just show
yeah,
everyone?
you should. It is. And like you always talk about how it's kind of like hard for me. Like I want it, but
Mhm.
like, do you want it for you or do you just want it because you think you should?
Yeah.
You know?
I have been, I've struggled, I think my entire adult life
Mm-hmm.
when I like became aware of
Mm-hmm.
this, with like a routine. I always thought that I needed a routine
Mm-hmm.
and I would shame myself for getting into something for a while and then wanting to change it.
Yeah.
And I'm consistent for the things that matter,
Yeah.
that are important, but when it comes to like I like what I realized is I like the freedom.
Yeah.
And what's funny is in my gym keys, one of my keys is boundlessness and another one is
Mm.
timelessness. And like
Hmm.
the city, which is like the highest frequency,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm supposed to be able to have routines and then change them when I want to. So I'm supposed to be like consistently inconsistent, but consistent with that.
That makes sense because like you definitely go through
Like
like
phases.
seasons of this
Yeah.
too because I remember you were on an early schedule maybe before you went to Europe. There was some kind of time when you or maybe after.
When you came to visit me, you like
Yeah.
reset me.
Yeah.
And
Welcome.
I was like, well, because when you stayed over, I'm like, I'm not gonna like have you awake for 4 hours. So I was setting my alarm for like
Yeah.
6:37, and then I was on a different schedule, and then we
Uh-huh.
went to your parents' place
Yep.
in
Yep.
Siesta Key, and we were waking up to like the sunrise over
Yeah.
the water, and I was like, okay, I can live this life.
Yeah.
And then I fell back into a later routine. But even like I was telling you, I did F45 for a
Yeah.
while and I was really into that. And then I got to a point where I was like, I think my body wants slower movements.
Yeah.
And so I changed that. And I got really into posting on TikTok for a while, and then I was like, you know what? That doesn't feel good to me. And
Yeah.
so allowing myself to shift and change when things don't feel right anymore
Yeah.
is something that I have learned that I need to be like celebratory of.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
even I think for women, like most women listen to this show. So you
Yeah.
guys can all relate. And we were talking, I told you we were talking about this in the herbalism class, like women's health and just like our cycles and seasons. And I used to be that person who like I love fitness and like exercise and like movement and all those things. So I would like push through. And one
Mm,
of the I'm so proud of myself for like taking rest days and like just
yeah.
like relaxing and when I get an injury, it doesn't seem to set me back as much because I used to be like I get an injury and it was like the end of the world because I was like no, I'm an athlete. Like I'm a runner.
Mm,
Like I was identifying so deeply with that part of me,
mhm.
which I think is natural for anyone if they're
Yeah.
doing something for a certain amount of time, but giving myself that grace and that space to be like just fucking rest. I don't know, like chill.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it takes time. Let's do like maybe like one question each left.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just thinking, like, are we just being Joe
How
Rogan
long
right
have we
now?
talked
We're
for?
gonna have like a 3 hour show. I don't
I
even
have no
know.
idea what time it is.
Time warp.
Time.
Time doesn't exist. Timelessness, boundlessness.
Boundlessness. Boundlessness. Okay, let's see. Um, before you like ever decided to start a business or run a business, did you ever have any like not like a premonition, but maybe like visualization or like did anything come to you before you ever started like something of your own?
Ooh, this is a great question. I have always been an entrepreneur. I just didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always had little projects, and one of my favorite ones, a lot of you probably don't know this about me, but I wanted to work in the music industry. I mean, you probably know this. I just talked about it, but I
You're taking notes here.
taking notes here. I wanted to work in the music industry when I graduated school, and I remember watching these YouTube videos. So, LOL, this is on YouTube. Um, when I was in high school, and when I was in high school, YouTube had just come out. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to, I think it's Lablago Tech,
Do you
it's
still have your YouTube, like old YouTube channels?
YouTube just down, like, took it, deleted it. Yeah, I think
Really?
because like the email address is not active anymore. Yeah.
Oh.
I remember watching these videos in high school of these bands doing these live sessions, and I was so moved by them, like brought to tears. Like there's this one video of Beirut, which is a band, and they're walking through the streets of Paris and they're singing a song, and these people are filming them behind them, and they're just like in the street, and I'm like, if I was there, like just on the street, and this amazing band like paraded by me, like I would be so emotional. I would be like so grateful
Mhm.
that that just like touched me. And you get to watch this on video. And I was just like, this is, I want to create these experiences. I want people to feel something.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I did my like whole resume towards like music. I interned at RCA Records in college. I interned for a music manager. I
Mhm.
had my own radio station. I was a local music director at Rutgers.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I just like did everything that I could. And when I graduated school, I didn't have and the finances to go move to the city. It's
Mhm.
expensive and
Mhm.
they do not pay you. Music,
Right.
entertainment in general, like they know that it's competitive and they just will start you at, I'm not kidding you. I was quoted $10 an hour.
Is that even like legal? What's
It
the
was when I was when
going
I
rate
was
these
like
days?
23 years old.
Wow.
I interviewed for the biggest agency, entertainment agency in the United States, and they told me, "Oh yeah, we'd probably start you in the mailroom, $10 an hour." I was like, "The mailroom?"
Start at the bottom. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
My mouth dropped. I was like, "What?" So, anyways, I worked at a real estate investment company, which is like left field, and I was like, "Well, if no one's gonna employ me, I'm gonna employ myself," which is like my entrepreneurial spirit. I had an entire film crew, and I would do live sessions of
Wait, for the real estate company?
no, this is for myself.
Oh,
I
okay,
made a
okay.
YouTube channel called The Echo Spectrum,
You
and
still have that blog, don't you?
it's I don't think it's like anywhere on the internet.
I'm gonna try
Although
to find it.
Instagram, it's still there on Instagram. Yeah, you can look The Echo Spectrum. But anyways, we had like 30,000 views on YouTube. Like we were doing well. And we filmed touring and emerging artists in the tri-state area. So we did something cool. Like if a band came through and they were like a cool band, we filmed one at a speakeasy bar, at a winery. We did one in a garage, like really vibey locations and settings. And the thing that stood apart is I would interview the like band or the lead singer or whatever, and I would take something that was really profound that they said and I would put it behind B-roll at the beginning and then I would privilege it at the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fancy.
No one got paid. I had a full film crew. Everyone just like I like
Like a
sold them
passion
on the dream.
project.
It was
Yeah.
yeah. Well, also like everyone that did it with me, they were kind of in a similar position where they maybe didn't have like a resume, like
Right,
a
they need the
real built.
experience.
Yeah, and so we all had just like dreams and aspirations to get into different industries. Actually, one of my top film guys, he now works for Apple. Yeah.
Wow.
And he like flies around with Apple and like films really big
Wow, he's
shows.
still doing like video stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this reminds me
Amazing.
of when we had a retreat last year in St. Pete. Part of, the ticket, I don't know if you want to call it that. Part of anyone, investing in coming to the retreat was they were going to get a raw speakers reel. And this was just like so Bridget and Lydia, like you just figure it out.
Do it ourselves.
Yeah. So Lydia brings like all of her like tech equipment.
She had no idea. I was like, oh, don't worry. I have a camera, I have microphones, I have like headphones, like I can mix this entire video. And she was like, what?
When I see the like, because I took some videos of like us taking the videos. When I look back at those videos, I just like smile from ear to ear. I'm just like, it's just fun. So you had all these experiences. So you kind of like knew before you knew.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mhm.
like I was just and I'm very much a figured out person.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I mean, like it wasn't the path, but I was like, I'm gonna be famous doing this. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to build a website, so I'm gonna build it myself. And also I would kind of weave all this stuff into my work. So I would go up to my company, like founders, and be like, hey, I'm gonna redo our website. It doesn't look good. And just like teach myself and I would get
Yeah.
paid.
Love that.
And it looked awesome. And then they benefited, I benefited. And so I've always just been a person that like wants to try something new and figure it out. And when I got to the time where I was like, I'm quitting corporate, I'm gonna just like dive into my own thing. I already had so many skill sets
Yeah.
that I didn't realize I needed in order to support me on this journey. So
It's so interesting. I'm just thinking about in the financial literacy curriculum that my dad and sister have been like filming. There's one section that's about like starting a business. My dad starts it off with like kind of the personality type that you need to be an entrepreneur. Like because there really is like some skill sets, right? You have to be okay with taking risks. You have to be okay with being the leader. You have to be okay with like riding those waves and starting something new and creating something of your own. And there are many people who are just better off being employees. Like they just like being part of, I love being part of a team, but like they just kind of want to be told what to do and just kind of like move through, which is fine. Like we need those people too. So you can definitely see that like you had those leadership skills like very early on because you just wanted to figure it out. And I feel like entrepreneurs are natural problem solvers because you have to be.
Yeah.
There's no other solution.
So on this, Bridget, what made you want to be an entrepreneur? Like I creeped on you for like years. I saw you showing up on Facebook. We met in a Facebook group for like manifestation stuff, which was, it really was about like healing your inner child basically and like trauma work and like working on yourself. And Bridget would like start posting your business in there.
I was like half in the group, half out of the group.
You were,
you know that?
I thought it was so funny because we would have like monthly calls.
I saw her show up.
You'd show up for like 2 minutes, and I remember being like, oh, everyone's like hanging.
What a bitch.
And you would be on a walk, so your video would be like
very unapologetic, like had to put myself first. That's
classic. Okay, wait. Never mind. I want to switch up my question because, well, you should probably tell this one since I like started it, but what I find very admirable is that you are very unapologetic. So what I want to ask you is like, was there any instance where you maybe learned that that's how you had to be? Or maybe like something that really gave you the confidence to be like, oh, I need to like put myself first sometimes. And this is important in order to, for everybody, everyone involved.
I feel like I didn't have like that in your face instance of that.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is just like, I understand that if we are doing the things that we enjoy, we're going to be healthier. Like if I need to go for a walk,
Yeah.
And I'm gonna like take this Zoom call, bobbling my head up and down.
Yeah, like for me, it's definitely a longer journey and a
Mhm.
check-in,
Mhm.
but I'll see you just like unapologetically doing stuff.
Mhm.
Like the fact that you like just said, I need to take off my jacket, and you like walked over there and you were like, whatever.
Oh, I
Like,
don't care.
yeah, it's
I'm
just like
sweating.
it's like it's impressive.
Interesting. I don't think I ever I don't think I noticed that about myself,
Hmm.
to be honest. So I've never reflected on this question,
Hmm.
but I guess another
Fair.
like instance would be Zoom calls, right? So like we're seated at our desk. I don't have a standing desk, but I think I might like try to get one.
Yeah.
I like to be like movement oriented. So when people will do networking calls for first meeting someone, they'll be like, let's sit on Zoom and stare at each other.
Yeah.
And I'll actually say, like, do you mind if we take this as a phone call? Like, I'd love to walk and talk. And I think somehow that sets a precedent for people because people don't realize that's an option. And
No.
I'm like, let's do that. Like, why don't we just connect? And I love old school business owners because my dad will just be like, yeah,
They
I'll
always,
talk to them in the car. Like, just whenever they can. But somehow we've gotten like Zoom as like the only way that we can
yeah.
meet someone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, that doesn't really work for me. I don't know. I do think though, working at that yoga place, like needing to like develop this just sense of unapologeticness about this is what we're doing
Yeah.
here. Like again, kind of like demanding my own respect
Yeah, and
and
authority.
authority and creating that for myself. I do think working on the navel center and like that chakra is really helpful. Yeah, the navel center, the power center. But to answer your other question, what was the
Yeah,
question?
the beginning of entrepreneurship, like what did that look like for
Oh
you?
yeah. Well, my parents have both been like entrepreneurs. My mom was in like network marketing for a really long time,
No.
like one of the best in the country at selling Leah Sophia jewelry.
Oh yeah, you did say
Yeah,
Leah
yeah,
Sophia,
it
and
was
then
Leah
you did
Sophia.
Leah
I
Sophia.
did it
My
too.
mom used to do it, and
Yes,
I
yes.
probably I still have a ring that I wear.
I like used to love a lot of jewelry actually. It was like fun and
I'll send you a picture later if you
yeah,
like
please
remember
do.
the ring.
I'll like know the name. I remember like the catalog, like the June.
It was green stone. Oh,
Maybe it was.
whatever, I'll send it to you later.
But I don't think I really just did not know what I wanted to do growing up. Like I just didn't know at all.
Isn't that like a freeing thing? I feel like when we're kids, even in college, like I wanted to, this is like hilarious, but I was like, I'm gonna be an electrical engineer. Like, for like 5 minutes. Like that was something I wanted to do. And I'm like, wait a second, like, we have to be really good at math for
Yeah,
this. No,
yeah.
not correct. But there is a lot of pressure on that. And like, what if we allowed ourselves to like not know what we want to do, but just be
Mhm.
like, oh, I want to study this is interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm such a person who learns from my actual experience of the
Yeah.
thing. Like that's how I grasp anything in life. And I did think about being a gynecologist at one point, like going into
Mhm.
like medical. I thought maybe being a PA because then I didn't need to be a doctor, but like still could be involved because I had so many like gynecological reproductive issues at a young
Mhm.
age. And I remember like my beady-eyed gynecologist being so rude and like shamey. And I was like, I never want a young woman to feel like this when they're
No.
at that age and it's such a vulnerable state. Like you're just learning about your body and to have someone of authority kind of putting you, not purposely, I don't think she's doing it
Yeah.
on purpose, but like her energy toward me just felt very much that way. So I think I only really started to understand my own path through having these like experiences, through, being part of that business fraternity in college. I started to see that I definitely loved business. Like
Yeah.
that was definitely part of it for me, but I still didn't think I would be an entrepreneur at that point. And then, working at a sales job and being like, I don't really like this. Like I hate not having my mornings. I didn't like
Yeah.
the schedule of it. And then just having health issues or like traveling and just I don't know, I just feel like I kind of learned as I went. But I also because my parents are entrepreneurs and you've met them too, they're just very much like growth. And we've been talking about like opportunity people. My
Yes.
parents are opportunity people. Like
Love that.
they just like see it and they want that for people and because they're entrepreneurs themselves, they aren't as scared with risk. And I
Mhm.
feel like if you're not from that world, you're very risk averse.
Very.
And most people are, right? That's why they work a traditional job and I totally get it because there's so many moments where I'm like yeah, healthcare would be like nice in a sense, or like
Yeah.
paid maternity leave. Like that would be like a
Mhm.
nice thing to have.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's an interesting journey, but I've definitely just kind of learned as I went and didn't necessarily think that I would land here.
Yeah.
But like now I'm like, there's no other way. Like
It's also willingness to just
freedom.
like think outside of the box. I think a lot of us fear what we don't know.
Mm,
So if we know that it's really not that scary, like I'll do a lot of self-talk where sometimes I'll be like, okay, obviously fear is coming up. Obviously I'm being reactive. Let me think about like what is the absolute worst thing that could happen?
That's a good one.
And it's never that bad.
Yeah. Worst
Like,
case scenario, best case scenario.
yeah, and it's just so interesting that we like fear it so much. And at the end of the day, like I think we don't realize how much really needs to go wrong for it to be like the end of the
Yep.
world. Yeah.
Yep. It's so easy for us to go there.
Mhm.
This was fun.
This was like a really good conversation.
Just
Hope
like
you
a
guys liked
life
it.
convo. Yeah, where should we tell people to like, where can we tell people to go?
So,
What are our calls to action?
calls to action. I think this show
Subscribe
is,
to the YouTube channel.
yeah, subscribe. We are really putting a lot of dedication, time, speaking of like letting things grow
Yeah.
on the YouTube channel. We both really love the mix of lifestyle content. Media is like obviously our thing.
Because we're kind of like, that is who we are. We're that blend of
Yeah.
wellness, lifestyle, and business.
Yep, we are the blend. Like we absolutely love all of those things. So here on YouTube, here on the podcast, we're really trying to make that an all-encompassing thing. But our courses are amazing. So if you are an entrepreneur that is ready for that exposure, ready to start either we actually have an entire like map. So if you're a business that feels like you need a little refresh and a rebrand in 2024,
Yep.
start at Find Your Irresistible. We also have workshops for visibility. So if you have any fears around visibility, being seen, like we get it.
Yep.
It can be scary. That stuff does come up for us too every once in a while.
Yep.
So we have the Visibility Era workshop.
Yep. Meditations in there. Love a good meditation.
It is so good. That is honestly
Really
one of my favorite products.
Yep.
I still to this day, I'm like, our favorite workshop. I don't even know if it's yours. And I'm just
Well,
like,
I know
"Ah."
I would be. I loved the Get Booked on podcast.
I mean, it was fire.
I think it was like different content that we're
Yeah.
used to sharing because we normally don't go that deep into like one topic. Normally
Yeah.
it's a little bit more broad, like okay, podcasts, press, like TV, and just general exposure. But this one was like top ranked podcast, how to get behind those doors.
It was meaty.
Yes,
Like
it was really good.
like
Like really good.
It was like a big juicy steak, that one.
And like I feel like our ways of thinking, because we broke it down into 2 days. Your day was like how to access those gatekeepers basically to those big podcasts because they might have a production team, and mine was like how to be the best guest and how to basically leverage that relationship for more. And I feel like it invited me to think about that concept differently. Like I was really thinking and trying to be strategic in the way that I was sharing. It was just different. It was good.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was good. I think that was one of my favorite. But Pitch Party is so
Flagship course.
good. I'm really proud. I'm really proud.
Really proud. And also we turn this to a digital product because the people that are doing the digital products, we've noticed that our clients have really changed in a positive way to the clients that like understand the longevity, understand putting in the work. And this past month, we have had insane results. Oh my God, thumbs up. This past month, we've had insane results. We had clients on Flawless World Blog, Yahoo News, NASDAQ, MSN, Go Go Banking Rate.
Yep. A big Substack, and we talked about that in our 2024 like or our PR trends.
Yeah.
Because some of these like more community driven channels, we think that they're really going to grow. So even if it's not like the most notable or like shiny logo, being in front of a connected community is really smart.
It's really smart. And a lot of writers that use Substack, they are writers that work for really big publications. So one of our clients was like, hey, like, is this Substack okay? Is this good? I looked up the writer. They write for major business. Yeah, I'm just like a nerd and I'm like, let me look up that.
Yeah, I didn't realize
he writes for major business and finance publications. And so every once in a while, their stories don't get picked up. And so they post it on their Substack.
So smart. And the cool thing, since shifting Pitch Party to totally self-paced and digital, we now have more teams that are actually doing this for the founder.
Yes.
Which that was always our dream anyway, because we knew to teach the teams, because if you have a small team, you might have a marketing person, but like they don't have these skills yet. They have no idea how to do it. But you as the founder, you might be stretched thin. Like you just don't have the time to be researching the contacts and sending the pitches and thinking about new story angles. but your team does. So
Mhm.
we've seen a lot of success with people using the course in that way, basically as training curriculum for their teams, which I'm just like, this is the future. So
Yeah,
exciting.
and doing things like a conscious way. I come from working at many agencies, and sometimes the practices aren't that they're just
Nice.
they're just not that nice, and they don't really focus on building that human connection, and that's what's going to, again, work with you in the long run, longevity. Also, we had somebody on TV.
Oh yeah, had someone on TV.
Yeah, we had someone on TV.
I'm doing one of our trainings.
So anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to comment underneath. You can send us an email, and we are happy to answer whatever it is that you have.
Amazing. Thanks for being here at Visibility on Purpose.
I love this so much.
Best thing ever. See you guys later.
Bye.